Hey everybody, we're live and back, and I'm on with my friend John Burris, noted, famed Oakland lawyer who has a long history of the Oakland Police Department, and just came on to talk about the Armstrong situation initially. John, what are your thoughts on Mayor Tao firing LeAna Armstrong?
Well, what I've said is I wasn't surprised. I expected that she would do this given the length of time that had passed and some of the justifications that were being offered. I am disappointed, and I thought that Chief Armstrong was doing a good job for the city. We were making a lot of progress in getting forward to the NSA, the Negotiated Settlement Agreement. He was working very closely with the community itself. He was well liked and very popular chief. And so this kind of undermined the relationship between the city, law enforcement, and the community itself. I also was very much struck by the isolation or refusal to work with the police commission by the mayor. And the police commission was put there as sort of a watchdog of the police department itself, and their responsibility would have been to look at whether or not there was evidence to support the chief's refusal, dismissal, but they were not given that opportunity. And so the mayor took it unto herself to make that decision without any consultation from the police commission. So it was a very bad sign for future roles that exist within the city itself. As now it's not clear if the police commission has any authority at all, and whether the mayor herself will assume direct control of the police department. So it's a bad day, as I see it, for law enforcement and certainly for the city. Now, there are obviously people who would be pleased that the chief is gone within the department itself, because in a department like that, it's a Game of Thrones. And so you can always know that if the chief goes, another chief will come and will want the job. And so, as I see it, going to be another roller coaster dealing with the police department.
It's this. What do you think about the idea that some have said? Well, I'm not going to be circumspect about this, John. I'll tell you what I discovered. Raina Webb, her now former chief of staff, put out a text wherein the about to be sworn in Mayor Tao had asked Raina to put her in touch with a quote Asian sheriff. This is in the text. I don't know who that is, but now I'm wondering if Shang had it in mind to craft a reason to fire LeAna and then bring in someone Asian for to reach a political objective or something like that. What are your thoughts?
That would not surprise me. I told the chief a while ago that I fully expected when the new mayor came in that she would appoint her own chief. And that would have her own Asian person as the chief. I fully expected it. I told LeAna that a while ago after the election. So it's not surprising at all that was happening.
Because what tipped me off, John, we talked about it too, is that she said of all the reasons she could give to terminate was the press conference that LeAna held last week while he was on paid leave to say that the officers involved in the quote incident unquote involving Sergeant Michael Chung, who had crashed his car and then later fired his bullet in the freight elevator. She said that Chief Armstrong saying that those incidents were mistakes was basically a fireable issue on her part. And it sounded to me like she was literally just looking for anything to hang her hat on to get rid of him, rather than something where he broke the law or procedure or policy or anything. But he did nothing wrong.
He did nothing wrong. That's very clear.
Have you ever seen anything like this before in terms of mayoral power?
Well, sure. The mayor has a lot of power. The mayor can fire police chiefs at the whim, depending on what the contract is. So it's not, she could have a reason or no reason to fire the chief because she's coming in and she wants her own police person. She could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think that he has probably some civil service rights that he built in to prevent that from totally happening. But it doesn't surprise me that she wanted her own person in. The disappointing part is she made up the reasons why that you dismissed him.
That's what I'm getting at, because it telegraphs something that I was told she would do before she was sworn in. And that's what bothers me, that this person that told me this insistently called it. Absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely right. Because it puzzles me that, knowing how popular Lamone is, I think I lost him. Hold on a second. He probably has to go. Hold on a second. I know John had to. Here he goes. Yeah. Hey, John.
Yes.
I lost you. It was a call drop, or did you have to go to your other event, or are you cool?
No, it was a call drop, but I am ready to go.
Oh, okay, okay. So I'll finish out. OPD is having a press conference tomorrow morning at 9, as I understand it. What do you expect? What do you think they're going to say, and how will the ranks react to what is a decision that council members didn't even know about until the press conference?
I have no idea what they're calling about. I'm probably, I don't want to say joyous, but I think they will say, look, we're going to go forward. We got work to do, and we'll carry on. Not the first time we had a chief that's left. It's like the king is dead, long live the new king. So I think that they will continue to onward and think that they will carry out the mission that's before them. And I think that, the streets themselves, they will do that.
Turn left onto Campus Drive.
We'll see.
So basically what you're saying to me, it sounds like I'm not wrong in saying this was an inside job. It had nothing to do with performance. It was just some way of crafting a reason to get rid of him.
Absolutely. Totally.
Wow.
All right, young man. I'll talk to you later on.
Thank you for your time, sir.
All right. Bye.
I see you. So there you go. Crafted a reason. Let me get your comments out here. Just keep up the good work by ensuring the story doesn't die on the vine. Do we as Oakland residents have any backbone at all? Recall. Yeah. Recall. All right. Recall. Hey, Bleacher. Hey, you know what? I got to get you on here, man. I got to just call you. Hold on a second, folks. This has got me unbelievably triggered, as they say. Yeah, let me see if I can get him on here. Hey.
What's happening?
Well, I'm on live. I saw your comments. I thought, let me call my friend here and see if I can get his comments on. Do you mind?
No, not at all.
All right. Folks, the famous Bleacher Dave, fresh from Puerto Vallarta, at least as far as I know.
Sadly, not so fresh anymore.
Let's cut to the chase. What do you think of all this, man?
I'm very disappointed, frankly. Very disappointed. As a West Oakland resident, born in West Oakland, now live in West Oakland again, family's been here for generations. I can't imagine any other police chief who was going to bring the kind of credibility, community confidence, experience, cultural knowledge of Chief Armstrong. I think very uniquely qualified. Having grown up in this community, lost a brother to gun violence as a young man, and now leading the department. Look, frankly, I have my issue with OPD. I got jacked by OPD as a young person. The Delphine Allen, lead plaintiff in a writer's case. His mom's lot is around the corner from me now. That house burned down in some mysterious circumstances. Here's what I know. I'm not an expert in this stuff. I don't know what the right sanction would or would not have been, but I trust John Burris. John Burris is the lawyer who filed that writer's case that led to this negotiated settlement. And when I heard him initially say that whatever was in that report did not warrant the chief being put on leave. That's my guidepost. I trust and believe in him because of the work not only that he did in his case, but his whole career in prosecuting police. And so if he's willing to stand up and say the sanction was not in line with the action, and given his position in being prosecuting police departments, I trust that. The point about him, and I was actually listening to, I read some of the transcripts. I tuned into the police commission hearing a little bit late, but saw some of the comments of the chair, who said that the police commission had some concerns about the accuracy and credibility of those confidential reports that were leaked to the Oakland side the last couple of days. And so I presume that that's somebody in the administration leaking that to the Oakland side to try and pave the way for today's announcement. It's a very, very insightful point by Mr. Burris that this undermines the effectiveness, credibility, and the power of the Oakland Police Commission, which is the Oakland's representative body of citizens who were appointed to get the citizenry involved and have a voice on these kind of matters to make sure we're represented.
I was just gonna.
We'll see, man. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna note that the Oakland side is running as a legal nonprofit that is paid under the table by progressive public relations firms. So to have that leaked to them points to the involvement of a progressive public relations organization. Right there. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of there's people on all sides of this, but many of the people who I believe should be centered on the most serious stakeholders, Black folks from the flats that have been here and grew up in Oakland. I think that's the core of.
Hey, Bleacher, hold on a second. I'm gonna try to see if I can merge. I'm gonna see if I can merge Paul Cobb in here. Hold on a second. Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
I'm on live. You want to merge and
No, I can't. I'm on a Zoom call with First Presbyterian Church about Black immigrants.
Okay.
And I wanted to let you know I got your call, but I can't get off the Zoom right now. But
you want to come back later? Will you reach out to you later?
Yeah, reach out to me later.
You got it. You. Okay, cool. All right. So we will go back to Bleacher Dave there. All right. And Dave, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, that was Paul Cobb. We were trying to catch him. Okay, cool. You were saying?
Yeah, so I think our new mayor has now let go 3 Black male heads. We just lost the police chief today. We lost the homelessness director back in December. We lost the Department of Violence Prevention chief, I think, last month. As Burris said, it's the mayor's prerogative to hire and fire people and appoint her own people. As a resident, it's a bit disturbing that these very important leadership positions
are Black.
Political positions
are Black men.
They're Black. They're Black men. They're all let go, and that the mayor has the right to prerogative to do that. But it's disturbing that looks like we're letting people go for political reasons rather than performance reasons. And I think that's unfortunate, and that we, as a city and as residents, would suffer somebody who may be looking more at politics than on performance.
But like I said to her before, a year ago plus, before all this, we got into this situation, I called her Tracy Flick. And I called her Tracy Flick because she reminded me of the character that Reese Witherspoon played in the movie Election, who was after one thing, power. And she would treat anybody else inappropriately and get away with what she thought she could get away with in the pursuit of power. And the reason I said that was it was tipped off to me by a friend who was actually helping her out at the time, who said, man, Shing's changed. She's a monster who throws people under the bus. All right. And then when Radio Webb resigned and put out that email, I got a bunch of texts, most of which I haven't even released yet. Now I'm going to, One of them, where Shang is describing herself to Rena, to Ms. Webb, and you know, including her in the celebration of them winning power, essentially, that they are quote they're hashtag bad bitches, hashtag bye Felicia, hashtag they never saw us coming. That's immature stuff. Okay? That's how they communicate, you know? It's like, so this is now in power. This is like we have this person in power who thinks of this from at a level that's dangerous to the success of a public professional operation. Because what'll happen, and I'm going to stop because I want you to talk more than I am. I'm just upset about it. I want Shang recalled. I'm making that crystal. Okay. I'm going to just keep saying it and pushing it and saying it and pushing it because we're going down the wrong road. Now shut up and you can tell me I'm wrong or whatever, but I don't think so.
Well, I had a political operative tell me that Mayor Town punishes her enemies and rewards her friends.
Yeah.
And this is while they were during election season. And that's what should be expected. And he said he liked that because it would help keep people in line, so to speak. Now,
this is Oakland. This is Oakland, man. You don't do that.
Well, I see, maybe I'm naive, right? So I'm not a political person. I'm not an operative. I'm like, that's not cool. We should be trying to involve all the best ideas, no matter where they come from.
Oh, hold this. I got the famous Miss Powell. Let me see if she will join us. Hold on. Hey, how you doing? You want to join us? Hey. You want to join us? We're talking about
Sure.
Okay. Merging calls. All right. Hold on a second. Yeah, okay, now merged. Can you both hear me?
I can.
Awesome. I don't know if you know, but this is LeAna Powell. LeAna works for, how you doing, LeAna? Great to call you. And this is, we call him Bleacher Dave. He's a great guy, especially if you want to party in Puerto Vallarta. But at any rate, just kidding. But more seriously, LeAna worked for Shang Tao. She was kind enough to give me her interview and discussion regarding working for her. And I have to say, LeAna, and being violated, LeAna still has open public ethics commission investigation against the mayor for what was done to her last year. She's kind enough to call. First of all, LeAna, how are you doing? How are you doing?
I can't believe.
And she said, I can't believe you there still? LeAna? Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah, she's here. I think LeAna? We lost her somehow. Hold on a second.
Hey, let me do this. I'm eating dinner. I'm gonna jump off and let you talk to her. I'll leave, but I'll just leave with this.
Okay.
I am at this point,
Oh, wait, she's back. Hold on a second. Hold that thought. She's back. Let me get you all. Hold on. We got you back. Let me merge the calls. Okay, now they're merged. And okay, great. I'm sorry about that. First, LeAna, you go ahead and then Bleacher, share with us what you were going to say. Apologize for that, but LeAna's back. We got her back. LeAna said you were going to say something.
No, I'm just extremely disappointed about the decision today. Oakland really could use some Oakland natives in positions like Chief LeAna Armstrong. I kind of feel like I was the whistleblower to let folks know that, it's not safe with her in leadership. I know that I'm a lot smaller person than some of these other folks that were in high positions, but what's done to one of us can happen to all of us. And I feel like, I did put out that statement. I did file a public ethics complaint because what I had experienced personally behind closed doors.
LeAna, you were absolutely right in saying that, and that Shang would use her power to punish her enemies and basically use her position that way, which I have said, and I remember when Ignacio ran the first time, he talked like that basically. And I put out in a blog post, do not vote for him. This is 2007 because he's going to use the office to take out personal politics, vendettas. In Oakland, we have historically rejected that. And now here we are. It's in our face. And that's what really pisses me off. For you, how is your investigation coming along? Do you know? Have you heard from the Public Ethics Commission?
Well, the last time I talked to the investigator, he told me that the investigation will conclude around December. So we're now mid-February. He's not allowed to give me updates, obviously, because it could harm the investigation. But I know that they have enough information from myself alone to prove unethical practices. And it, clearly it didn't stop with me, and I don't believe it started with me. But what I was told in a roundabout way is that I was the only person who ever had the balls to, call a investigation for some reason like this. But this is the reason why folks should have taken it seriously.
Yeah, Dave, we want to add. You were going to say something as well, Dave. Bleacher Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to jump off. I just want to thank you for coming forward. That I was I'm rooting for Oakland.
Yeah,
and like you, I'm disappointed in today's news. You said something there, Zenny, that Oakland, and I'm sure there have been Oakland politicians that have been retaliatory. But, Oakland is a place, Oakland's a small town.
Yeah.
Oakland natives, we know how to fuss and fight and yell and scream at each other, but then come together the next day in the places there where we agree. And I think sometimes, in seems to me, in my experience, most cases, people that aren't from here don't operate that same way.
Right.
The people who grew up here, the people even that we disagree with, we've got relationships with them and we've known them. And so this is the disappearance of our native Oakland culture. Right? When we are that retaliatory, and that's the part that disturbs me greatly. And so I'm rooting for Oakland. Our mayor is our mayor, and so she's not our mayor. So I hope that she's able to be effective in that role. But I'm just gravely concerned, particularly as a West Oakland resident, with that West Oakland gets treated equitably, that we see the sort of funding and the attention and the respect for our community and our community's opinion, and those of our native sons who are in positions of influence and authority, such as our former chief, are continue to be respected and censored in a just way, and that our voices be honored and heard from, both as constituents as well as through our Oakland Police Commission, which didn't have a power to act in this matter. I'm gonna jump off.
Oh, hey, real quick, Dave, before you jump off, just maybe a few seconds. What are your thoughts on Vince Williams being beaten up by Carol Fife's husband, Turok Khan?
I don't know anything about it other than what I've seen on social media. I tuned in to you yesterday to hear about that. There's been some things going around from I haven't seen the video. I wasn't there. I don't know. All I can say is what I've heard is it sounds repugnant.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's two sides to every story. So looking forward to hearing more about this and what they have to say. And just as I held a suspended judgment around Chief Armstrong's kind of situation until all the kind of reports came out, and then there was going to be some more investigation about the veracity of those reports. I don't know. I'm not qualified to really weigh in on that, other than the fact that I'm disappointed he was gone. More will come out. What happened over there? I'm focused on Fitzgerald Park. It's been a problem in this neighborhood for a long time. I hope today that the closure was completed successfully. From everything I've heard, Assistant City Administrator LeAna Powell has been magnificent out on the scene, helping us coordinate and schedule the meetings around that closing with the community. And to see that executed on a place where it's been extremely violent over the last couple of years, and really a danger for not only the people who were living there, who I think there's been 4 deaths there, but for the people who are around there as well. It's extremely disturbing, and it is particularly disturbing that white activist came from another encampment to discourage Black men from going inside in the middle of winter. That's the really the heartbreaking part of this, is that we continue to see Black people use as pawns for other folks' agenda.
Dave, yeah, come back, man.
Gotta come back sometime, bro.
All right,
be
man.
well.
Yeah, you too. Hey, LeAna, what?
Bye-bye.
LeAna, what? I'm for recall. I don't know. I don't want to know your thoughts of it, because I want to launch a recall campaign.
Well, I mean, obviously, I would be on that side as well. I think to fire a person who was passionate about serving the community and who actually did their job, I feel like only more folks will be hurt. That's just, all I can say. But, I mean, maybe the entire city hall needs an overhaul. I mean, who knows? Because she's not able to do this stuff in isolation. She wasn't able to do it in isolation. Yeah, you have to look at everything around the situation as well. And
I also remember we're talking about, if you don't mind talking about her, if you do, I'll clip it. But Ms. Webb and her situation, I don't know if she's filed a complaint. Has she tried? I know she once said she tried to contact you, but have you heard anything more about her situation?
I haven't heard anything more about her situation. And again, I think that, as far as when I was employed there, I didn't see her doing things that I had read. I only know what I experienced at that time. And at that time, I was the newest staff member. I had less, seniority in my role. And so everyone else was a part of what happened to me. And I mean, I did get an apology from Rania, but it's kind of late. And also it happened. She apologized to me in December. I was let go on during the week of Juneteenth, and it looks like Chief Armstrong and these other folks were being let go during Black History Month. So
during Black History Month. Yeah, which makes a mockery of Black History Month. And not only that, I'm thinking of the many people that came out by the hundreds for his press conference, Black. And
I was there.
Yeah. And yeah, you were there. I mean, what does it say that Shang would take this action in the face of, unless of course she wasn't paying attention to, the popularity that Chief Armstrong has, not just in Oakland, but specifically with Oakland's Black community?
Well, I don't think that she really cares, to be quite honest. My goal while I was there was to educate the Black community. She was District 4, which is the Hills. Not as many people that look like us in her district. But my goal was to, in a community role, was to, tell other districts how they can, reach out to their council folks to get their needs met for their district. I wanted to educate folks from my position, and her remarks on that was, those folks don't vote anyway. So that part wasn't important to her. Again, a lot of the things that, I did in City Hall, she was never there. She worked on her campaign full time, and she told me that I would not get to know her unless I was going to work on her campaign. So I can only speak from the few times that I saw her or was in a meeting or conversation with her. And it had everything to do with her campaign. It had nothing to do with taking care of the folks of this city. And, you know, I mean, I was at a press conference with her, with other moms who had lost their kids to violence at the police department. There was a brief clip. I think I had on a suit, and Shane Chow had on a blazer and jeans. I was there on her behalf, and then she showed up. So the clip goes from me, and then I step out when she arrives. But she was talking to LeAna Armstrong, and then she had a relationship with him. So it kind of looks to me like the rug was just snatched from under him, and he had no idea. And I just feel like, you know, well, obviously he had a super important role, more important than, you know, my smaller role at the time as a council aide. And I think that's the way she operates. She snatched the rug from under him, and he had no idea it was coming. And, you know, this is what displaces Black folks in Oakland. Like, how do you talk about equity and then, you know, you don't show it?
Yeah, I don't think, to that.
There's a lot of Black folks that, you know, may be in a position to, like, lose their place. It's not cheap to live in Oakland. So she didn't think about my family, who she had met. She's not thinking about anyone else's family. She didn't transition my role. You know, for him, I think there's other things that could have happened. But ultimately, I don't even know if she's operating on her own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's really, she's a puppet. Whenever she's doing a statement, doesn't seem genuine to me. Seems like she's reading from a script, and her tone just seems not genuine. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's coming from the heart at all. It looks like she's reading a script. And so that's what I get. And just hearing how she talks, you know, behind closed doors, and seeing her here, you know, on the news and online I'm not surprised at all. I'm actually disgusted that, you know, this is even happening. Like, I'm disgusted. And I really thought and hoped that the investigation would have concluded by now so that other people wouldn't be hurt. Like, that's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
People would not be hurt. And I mean, I didn't know that there were 3 Black men that had lost their jobs under her administration. Yeah. I know I lost mine. And I didn't do anything wrong.
Nope. No, not at all. And let me share some of these comments while I have you on. They're starting with, let's see here, going all the way up. Bleacher Day we had on, talking about John Burris. And Teddy Corpus says they should have think about the whole situation before you voted for the city official. Democrats are ruining the city and the state. I'm a Democrat. But you know, I want to respond. I keep avoiding that. And the main problem within our party is unnecessary divisions, like people who see themselves as progressive but can't even define what progressive is, versus people who, frankly speaking, don't care, and they know what's right. They know voting rights are right. They know living wage is right. They know a job for all is right. They know housing for all is right. And that's it, you know? And so basically, since all Democrats agree with that, there shouldn't be any division. But it's funny how people, including this current mayor, seem to create divisions, you know, within our own party. So from that perspective, you know, I kind of see what Teddy is saying, you know, but it's not a matter of Democrats ruining it. It's a matter of Democrats, us, needing to clean our own house of people who are ruining our house. And that's what it's about. It's about fighting with our own party and you know, basically putting down that we have to return to professional place. And I'll get off that unless you want to add something to that, LeAna, your choice.
No, I think if people are paying attention, they can see exactly what's going on. You know, again, I said, you know, she's not doing all of this on her own. She's 37 years old, from, you know, grew up poor in Stockton. She did not get here on her own. So you have to think about the folks in power that supported her to be here, and what do they have to gain for her being here?
Well, that's an excellent question, because again, I point to these text messages that were sent to me from Ms. Webb that were between her and Mayor Tao just on the eve of her inauguration, then after. And one of them referred to her or them as bad bitches, and then by Felicia. But then Shang was asking Ms. Webb.
I mean, in terms of their conversation, the original time when you interviewed me, I told you, like, she's a completely different person off of camera. She's a completely different person. And she trusted Renea blindly. So they were buddy. They would always, you know what I mean? They were very close. And, you know, you have the proof of that. I haven't seen that text message, but I believe it because I saw them communicate with each other. I know how much trust she had in Renea. Whenever I talked to Renea, she told me that there was no problem with her and Shane Tao. I was to report to Renea, so she was kind of the buffer in between all of us, in between Shane Tao and I. And when I would ask where she is, she would get really defensive and say, "It's not your business. You don't need to know." And I'm like, "I don't know what you think I'm trying to figure out. I'm just literally asking, like, where is she?" And she would get really defensive and say, "Well, you don't need to know. It's not your business. You need to focus on this or that." And so I let it go. But they were, you know, what happened to me, Renea was a part of. And it seemed like, you know, afterward, she realized that maybe she was a pawn.
And just, that's between the time that you went through what you went through, and then that December, you know. And so and Earl Jacobs says, didn't Councilman Taylor have a good cause to fight the final vote tally? If so, why didn't he? For some particular reason, Lauren, and I like Lauren, okay, but when it comes to actually fighting the fight, he would rather not spend that extra energy if he doesn't feel the fight is clearly winnable. It's almost like Wall Street and Gordon Gekko, you know, insider trading because you want to win, right?
What I can say about Lauren is he comes off as very honest to me. Yeah. And very straightforward. He's not immature or childish in the way that you talk about these text messages. Right. He will not get involved with any nonsense. No. You know, he's an honest person in my experience and straightforward. And I'm not saying that because I met him during city council, but even before I was there, he showed up to my events when I worked at, different nonprofits. He showed up and I didn't even know he was coming, but he came on his own. He came and he met with people. These people, or the meeting wasn't too small for him. He really showed his character, and, you know, I really wish that he was around to continue to do that, because I just don't trust anybody in City Hall anymore. To be honest, I don't know about the character of the folks that are there now. I know a lot of folks who had endorsed Council Tao have their, or Mayor Tao has their own public ethics investigations going on now. There's quite a few of them with the women who stood beside her. You know, even all the way up to, state office. There's some questionable and fishy business going on around every single person that she's connected to. Can you give us a couple of names where that's the case? I know there's public ethics investigations with Fife, with Kaplan, and I just recently saw on the news there's not an ethics issue, but a question of, conflict of interest at the state level with state officials who had endorsed her. So I mean, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
She hired me. She told me that perception was everything. I guess it just doesn't apply to her.
Say that one more time. She told you
She
what?
told me when she hired me that perception was everything. So if anybody assumed anything, then it was almost as if it was true. If I had to explain anything, then it was as if it was true. Well, seems like she's racked up quite a few things to explain herself, yet, you know, she's not holding herself accountable or any of the other folks around her.
Nope.
It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She said when she got in office, she was going to clean house, and looks like she kept her word on that.
Well, see, to me, it looks like a lot of politics, and yet, like with Howard Terminal, it seems rudderless. And then she says, "Oh, we're talking with the A's at the table." And turns out the A's have been working behind their back, forming a lobbying team in Nevada of 6 people, and which basically buys them the time to have Dave talk to her while they do the real business in Nevada. So, you know, all this stuff where she walks in here to the mayor's office and doesn't take the advice of seasoned people, like did never ask me for advice. She asked Elihu, but among the others, no, we had to have a particular brand. It wasn't about political expertise, and not even political, but I mean professional, public official expertise is what I should say in Oakland. How do, for example, she had a meeting with me regarding tax increment financing and enhanced infrastructure financing districts, but she said she didn't want anybody to know about it. And that was the only one that we had. And then she wanted me to do work, but she didn't want them to pay me. And I'm saying, so,
Well,
you know,
was that the reason why she decided to run for mayor is because her partner or her, I don't know if he's her husband or her boyfriend, she said that he was a lot older than her, and he suggested to her that she should run for mayor. And I'm like, well, what would he know about it? And later I found out that he was Rebecca Kaplan's chief of staff when she became chief of staff. So they're together now, but he was at one point Rebecca Kaplan's chief of staff.
Oh, I knew him then. No, I remember we met in 2010 at an event, and I've always liked Andre. I have nothing bad to say about him, and it saddens me that the reports I have had to put out because of this issue are about him behaving in a way that I didn't expect to hear associated with him, because the Andre that I knew was professional, straightforward, calm, cool, collected. That was 2010. I don't know what happened between then and now.
I hadn't seen him act out of character in any way. He was, you know, often, you know, around in our, you know, in meetings. But he kind of played the background. I mean, he was at Chief Ron Armstrong's press conference, and no one knew who he was there. He was not on the stage, but he was most certainly there. And folks later, you know, realized that that is Shane Powell's partner. And then I know Rania had brought up some accusations around, you know, violence and abuse. But, you know, he was pretty quiet around me. But Shane Powell did, you know, mention that he is the reason why she ran. And so while he was silent in front of me, I think he was very careful. But I can't speak to anything in regard to his character other than he's always in the background.
But it also points to what a number of people now have agreed with, and what I have said is that this was premeditated, and she was just looking for, you know.
I mean, I don't doubt that. I didn't know her as Rebecca Kaplan's chief of staff, but what I do know about her from the time that I was there, and just the way she talked to me and the way that her relationship was with her campaign manager and her other staff, yeah, it's very calculated. She's not doing this alone. She has a team of folks that she talks to on a, you know, regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I guess she should. You know, all elected officials probably have their go-to folks. But, you know, clearly there's an agenda just based on, you know, what we're seeing now. I've never filed an ethics investigation ever. And I have never, like I said, I've never experienced something more toxic in my life. But I can't say that I know about physical abuse. I know definitely the mental abuse and you know, the trauma that I experienced. I definitely, you know, there's definitely some lasting effects from that experience. I was in the hospital, and people always say that stress will kill you. Well, I now know what it feels like to think you're going to die because of the level of stress. I really don't know how all the folks in council was able to work with her during the time that they were all, you know, partners in council, and even now as mayor. I feel like she leaves with an iron fist, and if you are not on her side, you better watch your back.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Hey, by the way, Keisha is listening. Keisha, do you want to join us on the call? Let me know if you're still here by typing in. How are you doing, by the way, since all this? How are you coming along? Spiritually, you know, psychologically, professionally? Yeah, you. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I was in a really deep, dark hole of depression for a while because I was so proud to serve the city that I love so much. I was so passionate about it, and I believed in our elected officials. I believed them. I believed everybody was honest. Call me naive.
Mm-hmm.
It completely changed me. I don't really trust anybody anymore. And
can I add something real quick?
Yeah.
I'm just I'll tell you this. I remember all the way back 1988. I was at the American Planning Association convention. I was just a year out of grad school from Cal, working in the city of Oakland, and we were in New York for the APA convention, and got a gentleman who was on the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and that man was the picture. I forgot his name, but he was the picture of a public servant. He was calm, competent, and knowledgeable almost to a fault. He knew the basic statistics you would expect somebody to know who's a port commissioner about. I'm going to add Keisha here. Hold on a second. Let me put you on hold. Hold on a second. Hey, I'm going to put you, I'm going to merge your calls. Okay. Okay. Now Keisha meet LeAna. LeAna meet Keisha. Keisha's on social media on Twitter. She's fantastic and knows Chief Armstrong. And Keisha, how you doing?
I'm doing. I mean, as of right now, it almost feels like for me, it feels like I've lost like a loved one for me. Especially being born and raised in Oakland. One of the things that a lot of the Black community, I would say, dreamed of or hoped or just never even thought it would happen, but was to have a Black chief that is from Oakland, that is from a lot of the multi-crime impacted community that grew up from that and that made it out to be a leader and lead the city. And so I'm not happy at all. And it's really a damper for me right now. Like, seriously. I can't even fully explain really how I feel. It literally just feels like a major loss.
I'm right there with you, and I was going to say to LeAna that I'll just say this in a very short way. What we're seeing of elected officials is, of late, not how elected officials are supposed to be. That's federal, state, and local. And they're supposed to be professional. They're supposed to be honest. They're supposed to be appropriately political, not all political. And they're supposed to be considerate, not knee-jerk in their reactions and their decisions. And that's it. Okay. And not only that, I think the biggest thing of all, they're supposed to project that persona in such a way that a description of them as that is unassailable. Okay. So I right there with you all and everybody else. I resist crying for my city just because I'm doing a program, but I cry for my city because we're going downhill. Tell us, Keisha, when did you first meet Chief Armstrong, by the way? And I want to say, I worked for 2 years. I lobbied Libby for 2 years to hire that man, and he knows it. So I'm massively pissed. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I met Chief Armstrong maybe back in probably at the top of 2020. Well, I would say at the top of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is when I met him, and yes, pretty much when I met him. And ever since then, just having conversations about the community, about Oakland. I've always been a major supporter of who he was, of how he made sure that he engaged with the community, but also that we still had a Black experience, even though he was in that uniform,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I definitely, I'm still speechless, so I'm a little bit all over the place right now, but I'm in major support of him, and I hope that, I don't know what his next steps are as far as, like, if he's going to go work at a different department or how that works. But I think to tear down the integrity of his work, and that's one of the things that, as an Oakland resident, born and raised, I'm getting tired of, and I tweet about this all the time, I'm tired of tourist politicians.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of people coming, and what I mean by a tourist politician is individuals that come from out of the city, and I mean like from different states or countries or wherever they come from, and come out of the city, and they come into the city, and all of a sudden they're the heroes. But
Mm-hmm.
for those of us who come from this city, born and raised here, we get stomped on and we get thrown out, and we get told, you know, once we get in the position, you're not good enough.
Yep.
You can't lead, you can't do this. But then these same politicians, they tell our Black and brown kids, when they're little kids, or when they see them while they're photo opping at community engagement, you know, events, oh, you could be whatever you want to be. Yeah, you're telling them that, and then when you get into the position, then they stomp you out.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been way too long where a lot of our Oakland born and raised leaders, we have not gotten the recognition that we needed. And also what I find that's difficult, and I'll let you get your word in, Vinny, is that as I'm doing a lot of community work in District 6, one of the things, and I'm starting something called the Rebirth Anthem, and I'll talk about that on a whole other different interview, but is that there's some Oakland people that are advocates or activists or people that do community work that is like just a crab in a barrel, you know, and they don't know how to stick together. Instead, everybody is trying to be the Michael Jackson of Jackson 5, and we got to stop doing that. You know, so go ahead.
Go ahead, LeAna. What were you saying?
I 100% agree with what Keisha said. I'm in D6. I don't have no clout, but, you know, I'm in D6, and I'm definitely a community person. You know, I work in schools. I work with students. But as you said, we are told that, you know, I'm an Oakland native. My grandma went to Casamont. My mom went to Far West. My husband went to Casamont. You know, we're East Oakland. And there's no place for us in any leadership role, but you can come from wherever and be vetted by who? Yeah.
Not
the city, not the people of this city who have suffered through everything. We're still here, and for the few of us that are still here, we deserve justice. And I'll say this, and then Vinny, you go ahead and take it. But if it happens to one of us, it can happen to any of us. We need to do a better job at sticking together. And Keisha, I 100% agree with you. We have gatekeepers that look like us as well. We have people who will not support us, that look like us, that are in the same work and will not open the door. So that has to stop.
Hey, here's an idea.
Nobody is in a position high enough to look down on anybody. If we're here together, if this is a city that we claim, we need to get together and fight for our city.
Here's an idea.
It gets tired for one person to carry. It gets tired for us to spread tiresome. I was alone. People called me, from their cell phones after work, off hours. Nobody has spoken about my stuff publicly. Only you, Zinni. You've been the only person to publicly support me, and then the folks on Twitter. But you have a platform, and you supported me, and I appreciate that. So I will always give my interview to you first.
Thank you.
That's how I get there.
Thank you. I was just going to say to everybody, how about recall Mayor Tao, have Chief Armstrong run for mayor to replace her?
I think he can run for whatever he wants to in this city politically and win, in my opinion. I even said that about the District 3 seat. And even though he'll be making less than what he made as a chief, I still said, and I still strongly believe, if he ran for that seat or any political seat in Oakland, he would win, because he definitely has the community at heart. And then to piggyback on what LeAna was saying about people not sticking together, that's definitely true. I watched so many people, so many Black employees from the city of Oakland over the last, I don't know how long, and even just hearing so many stories of how they get ran out of here. They get ran out of Oakland and nobody sticks up and say anything. Everybody just kind of, gossip about it and be like, dang, that's messed up, and then that's it. And then they just say, that's why they mind their own business. Yeah, but you never get ahead. And so when we did the first press conference for Chief Armstrong with the NAACP, I was standing on them steps. I was very motivated in that moment, because we have never came together like that in a very long time. In a very, very long time. And I had feared that the community wasn't going to actually come out and fully support him how they verbally say they do, which a lot of people really do. But when it comes down to a fight, sometimes some people, based on what they're connected to, they're afraid to speak out. But I'm definitely not when it comes down to being in support of him.
Yeah, I'm going to offer something based on your sayings, any offer this. And this occurred to me that there has been a lot of talk and movement from those who choose to call themselves progressives, but can't define what being progressive is. And I'm going to say it just like that again and again and again, because they can't. About the Black Panthers, the 60s. There's a lot of, I think the term today is virtue signaling. And what the people who choose to desire to operate a city that way must be warned of is, if you seek power for its own good, and yet you point to a time when we as African Americans were not powerful, people of color were not powerful, and then don't seek to treat everybody else in a way different than they were treated in the past, then the same fate will meet you that has met them. You cannot achieve power and then hold it for its own sake. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, but in the process, it ignites a countervailing power to remove you from position. That is my message to the current mayor. You cannot act like you are all powerful. You cannot believe it. Because in Oakland in particular, we have a way of designing our culture in such a way as to reduce your power to its appropriate level. Oakland doesn't really get rid of anybody because Oakland culture is all over. But Oakland has a way of democratizing everybody. There you go.
I totally agree. And when I heard her in the statement that she, in her press conference this afternoon, stating that Chief Armstrong's position is at, the power. It's basically, she said something like it's at her will. It's not at the community, at our will, something of that nature that she said. And I'm just listening to her, and I'm just like, for what I know about politics in Oakland and how deeply rooted Oakland can be as far as corrupted and the rich, positive history of Oakland, the mayor position is really not as powerful as she thinks. And what she fails to realize is there are people, and Vinny, you know this for a fact, there are people that is running this city and will never show their face and they never need to sit in a political position or seat. And I don't think that she or half of the ones that just got elected, I think they're so caught up in the win, they have no idea of the realness of how Oakland politics really is. And so when I'm hearing her speak, and then just her demeanor in every press conference, she has an attitude, or she has this resting, I can't say the word because you'll get dinged, face on like are you not happy that you won? Are you like what's going on? And if the decision that she made today was she felt strongly about it, she didn't look that way at the press conference today. And even after we did the NAACP press conference, and we were all there that same day when she did the press conference at OPD later on, she had such an attitude. If you guys go back to that press conference. She had such an attitude. Oh, can you come stand over here? Can you come? Like she was asking Teresa to come stand up there. She was asking Pastor Dixon to come up there. And everything was such an attitude because you're mad that people came, that the community that supports Chief LeAna Armstrong came together. And I'm just like, who is literally giving you advice? Who's giving you advice? And I tweeted out something a few minutes ago before I jumped on your live. I said, majority of our city council, and I didn't say council, but majority of our city government, local elected, their boyfriends and their girlfriends and their side pieces, they're all at City Hall every single day. Either you get a job and work for the city or go home. It's very unprofessional. It's very high school. You're not there to be a private, troll,
right? To
troll after all the constituents or the residents in Oakland. You are a local politician. So if you're not going to do your job, then get out of the way. But to have all these boyfriends, not husbands, not wives, but boyfriends and girlfriends, while you are in a political seat, in a high-profile political seat at that, somebody should have told you that knows about politics. They will tell you, if you're in positions as city council, mayor, president, anything like that, you are not supposed to have your boyfriend or girlfriend really even out there unless you're planning on getting engaged or you're married. They shouldn't even be in anything. Maybe I'm too conservative and old school, but that's how that goes because that's how they
call it Keisha. They call it shacking up.
It's a lot of shacking and packing going on, but I just find it very, very just unprofessional in high school to have everybody, boyfriends, girlfriends, side pieces up at City Hall all day long trolling and hoping and praying that the residents of Oakland do not come in City Hall and put up a fight being satisfied with our new administration. And that's going to have to stop, because at the end of the day, we can't control what half of the city of Oakland residents will do in defense of some of our local city government boyfriends or girlfriends, trying to attack or say anything towards them. We can't control everybody's actions. And I think that needs to stop too, because it's very hateful.
No, I'm glad you said that, because it sounds like, well, now today I have experiences going back to when I was an intern, but I can comfortably say that the main problem then, and Robert Bob recognized it. I remember, I'm going to make this a short story, but basically one official basically said that my problem was they thought that I talk like I think I know everything. And I said to this person over lunch, whose job I wanted to run economic development. LEU put this person in charge, a decision I know LEU was later regretted. But I said, I've talked this way since I was 6 years old, with me intellectually confident. And if you have a problem with someone Black who's like that, you and I are not going to get along. And my problem is that Oakland needs to get back to a point, because that I had then. The Black men that ran the department were true fathers. They were mentors to other young Black folks like myself. Like, for example, under LEU, I learned how to cultivate power. There were 5 of them that got together and bought me my Ford Pro, which unfortunately I accidentally crashed. No one intentionally crashes a car, by the way. But these were good people, good brothers, as we say today. And for those who are saying, well, what about somebody else? They were good to other folks too, period. Okay. They were good people you could turn your back on and know they had your back. You didn't have to think about it. Sure, there was a lot of political, as LEU would call it, head faking, but there wasn't the in your face, I don't like you, unprofessionalism that quickly comes to backstabbing that's so rampant today. Sure, it was there among some people, but those folks were generally at lower positions and they didn't last long. I will tell you the problem. All the stuff that we're going through that is ossified, it started with strong mayor. And I think someone said to me, and maybe it was, I don't know who it was, but they just said it recently, that Jerry Brown, I think maybe it was Bleacher today, but Jerry Brown and Robert Bob were the only 2 people who knew how to handle Oakland in a strong mayor environment. Because since they've left, we've fallen apart. We've lost redevelopment. We lost our knowledge of how to build affordable housing. We lost sports organizations. We lost all of the underpinnings that made Oakland a great city to live in. And I put that on a strong mayor form of government that has only intensified immature behavior rather than in a council manager form of government, because you have professionals in charge, right? That's a damper. That's a damper toward over politicization. We need that structure back, because we're not going to get better with the current one. We're getting worse.
Yeah, and I think that also too with just like the redevelopment, there's nothing in this city to do. Like for me as a parent, me as a still a young woman, there is nothing in this city to do. I'm paying way too many property parcel taxes. For what? What do we have in this city to do? Yeah. It's like this entire city is being ran like a nonprofit organization. It's not being ran like a business at all. And it's just not, I don't, it seems like things that I would want or people or other people would want as far as development wise in this city, it's always getting knocked down by either certain activists or certain groups that are, saying like, oh, if we bring this big corporation in or this big type of business in, this is going to turn Oakland into this or that. And I'm just like, but what's here? Like, what is here for us to do? be nothing.
You're right. We've tried to change that, and our problem in the past was too many retailers seeing Oakland's quote demographics as not being the right ones. Okay, and but then even if it wasn't that, it was our collective inability to see in Oakland that could play host, say, to Sega GameWorks or Disney's experiment, where they were trying to basically encapsulate the experimental prototype community of tomorrow concept and bring it into an urban setting. I lobbied to try to get that in Oakland. And now we have a situation where economic development is rudderless. We don't know who's in charge, what they're doing. This is ridiculous. And we have people who stay for a little bit and they leave.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to have people who have been here, people who live here, who care about the city. Like Keisha, for instance, she's doing something in the city. She cares about this city. I care about this city. It's important to have people from this city in leadership roles because we're not here for the moment. We're not here. We're here because we care about the people. As Keisha said, I'm a young lady too. I'm married. I have children, but there is nothing for my children to do. I have to take them somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I work in high school. There's nothing for the high school students to do. There's nothing for them to do. I heard them talking about one park on the news. Do you know how many parks are not together in East Oakland? There is no park that my kid can play at. There's no park.
Even like Montclair Park, it's not the greatest. I've been there as well. I'm like, okay, it doesn't do anything for me. And I think that the other biggest thing is that when they ask like, well, what could we do as far as getting our youth involved and keeping them off the streets? Well, you guys have the leaders that are leading I would say the economic development projects and that are over a lot of the funding to fund different things for our youth. They have a big disconnect. They don't even know what's going on. For me, if I'm mayor or I'm city council person, I'm definitely going to say, okay, the recreational centers need to be for kids 10 and under. Anything above that, they don't want to be at recreational centers anymore. Why are we spending so much money and they don't utilize them? The kids, I would say 11 and up, are now into building their own YouTube channels, into green screening, into TikTok, into all this stuff. So my deal would be, okay, all of these empty warehouses, we're going to turn all that into a media building.
Yes.
For kids that are 11 and up.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to learn how to build their own businesses technology-wise. That is the new way that we're going. And you have to have a certain amount of GPA in your school. And best believe these kids, if they can make their money off of their YouTube channels when they get out of school because they're creating their content, and I would make sure it's not nothing that's inappropriate. Yep. They're going to get them high GPA. And on top of that, I mean, like you said, LeAna, it's so powerful that people from this city lead, because what I also notice is there is no pride in a lot of the leaders that lead the city. I am such a competitive woman from Oakland that I would be so into making sure every single district has some type of competitiveness, whether that's two or three districts out of the 7 got some of the highest GPAs in elementary. Like, I would be making sure that I'm marketing the heck out of our positivity things that are happening, and that's not happening. Mm-hmm. And they're so stuck on only, amplifying Piedmont and all these other places when the real talent is in the hood, whether you like it or not.
One thing I've got to do though is it is 11:36 p.m. here, and I've got to go down and check on my mom because she made a wonderful dinner, which I did eat, but I need to clean up the kitchen or help her do it. She does it better than I do. This is the things the son does. I will say this to you younger folks, okay? Your parents treat you right. Treat them right when they're older, because they're all we got. But we got to do this again soon. Don't you all think so?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I think we need to do this as long as we have a mayor that doesn't care about our constituents. Like Keisha said, you take a look at that video when we had lost all those young men in East Oakland. When she walked out. She didn't even hug one person. She didn't stop to say anything, stormed out of there. All of the other folks that were there, they stopped, they engaged with the folks who came to watch the press conference. It's that we're sitting here watching you read a script and you can't even talk to people. When you hold a press conference, you have all the folks up there that have to be there. But where is the community that you're talking to? Where is the community that you serve?
Right.
Are they there? I haven't seen them at one of her press conferences. Yes.
Well, let's do this. What's this Friday? How about that? Let's do this Friday night.
Yeah. I agree. Let's do this Friday. And I want to say one more thing before you end it. I think one of the things that has been secretly bothering me is, and LeAna, you and Zinni has worked for the city, so you know this, is that before the mayor election really started heating up, there was a lot, like I had a background of being friends or associates with people from different sides of Republican, Democratic, progressive, non-progressive, liberal, however you want to say it. And then when it got close to the election, a lot of people started drifting off. Like I didn't hear from anybody that doesn't have the exact same alignment that I have on politics. And then even now, some of those people are now either working underneath her or working underneath some of our council people, or they're leading advisory boards or things like that. And I haven't heard one peeping sound from them at all. And I'm not going to call. I haven't seen them. Like everybody seems like they're quiet. And it's like, if you won fair and square and you know that what you're doing in the position that you have and how you're going to lead in your viewpoint is going to be great for Oakland, why are you hiding?
Well, I know one thing. When you speak out, you get canned. I stand my ground. I spoke out and I said what I would and what I wouldn't do. And here I am without one person supporting me other than, Zinni, other elected officials that have called me privately. But, you're on your own if you leave that position. And so I can imagine why they're not speaking out, but it doesn't make it right. Hell, overhaul the whole thing. Everybody quit.
Hey, I say this. You have a story about the city of Oakland you want to tell, you need an advocate, you come to Zinni62 Media. All right, folks, I'm going to end this broadcast. Everybody, Friday nights, thank you all for stopping by. You two stick around on the phone. Subscribe to Zinni62 and please bookmark OaklandNewsNowBlog.com and Zinni62.com. And we'll be back, folks, in the words of the former governor.